recording.
Like a projector.
It's recording.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So make sure you're in the right place. This is Easy Fundraiser at the Book Fair with our presenter, Michelle Philippe. So let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. Michelle is currently the media specialist in grades 6 through 8 Magnet School in Greenville County, Hughes Academy of Science and Technology. This year, she is participating in the SCASL Emerging Leaders cohort. Before becoming a media specialist, she taught English, French, and ESOL in middle and high school, both in the United States and in France. She was awarded Teacher of the Year in 2018-19 for Hughes Academy. She's one of my colleagues, and she's amazing, so enjoy her.
Hello, thank you guys so much for coming. So the reason I wanted to do this as a session is because I went to a similar fundraising session at SCASL. I believe it was SCASL here the year right before everything shut down for COVID. And I thought it was probably the most easy takeaway things I can go back to my school and do right away, which I love, the concrete things. So that's why I decided to do this. And I will show you throughout the years how we kind of grew this fundraiser. It started as a really an afterthought, and then now it's we call it a lollipop mafia at my school because it's a big deal. So I will tell you all about it. As Patty said, I am in Greenville, South Carolina. My school is Hughes Academy, and we are middle school. Just to tell you about my school a little bit. Come on. We are grade 6 through 8. We're a magnet school. We are magnet for Spanish immersion. We're also a magnet for science and technology. So we have 2 different magnet programs. We have about 1,000 students. We're close to downtown. We are pretty evenly split racially, and we serve really both extremes of the socioeconomic spectrum. So we have a lot of students in poverty, but then we also are located next to one of the most high-income areas in our school, so in our town. So it's we don't really have a middle class of students, if that makes sense. So wasn't really sure how a fundraiser would work at this school just for those reasons, and I'll let you know how it goes. So just to tell you about our book fairs. Does everyone in here run a book fair? Because you could do this somewhere else. Okay. And, you could do this in another setting, but for us it works perfectly at Book Fair. We do Scholastic. I've never done anything but Scholastic. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual vendor, though, so you could do this at any vendor. We have a fall fair, and then we have a spring BOGO fair for summer reading. We usually do really close to the end of the year. Our fall sales are usually 6,000 to 7,000. Spring sales are more 4 to 5. And I use those profits for makerspace supplies, for our junior book award banquet, books, obviously, prizes for students. That's what I would typically do with our book fair. Thank you. Okay, so the original idea wasn't really an idea I had. I don't even remember where I heard it, but someone said, hey, if you throw up some suckers next to the cashier little box, you can make some extra cash. And I was like, oh, I love lollipops. Let's do this. I can eat all the extra ones. Well, there were no extra ones because this was the original one. You can see it was I bought one of those styrofoam cones and stuck my little lollipops in. I had my students mark the bottoms of them. So I brought my students to mark these. I just have a blue ink pad, and I have my student helpers go mark. I do about 25%, so I'll do whole boxes, so I'll do 1 out of every 4 boxes with a prize at the bottom. And then the rest are you just bought a sucker. If they don't win, then they just get a little 50-cent lollipop. So that is how it started. And I'm going to show you kind of how it's evolved since then. But the prizes that I do are those little cheap erasers you can get from Scholastic, bracelets, teleties, which are those scrunchies that are spiral, and just scrunchies, actual scrunchies from Amazon have been the craziest prize. I mean, boys particularly, I still don't understand, will with a buzz cut will have 5 scrunchies in their arms. So they love the scrunchies. They love certain of the bookmarks. And then I started to get the idea maybe I should do a big prize, and then that would be a Book Fair gift card. So I just use my Scholastic dollars for that, and I just make up you won $15 at the Book Fair, use it before Friday. And so I would do one of those, and then the rest would be the little prizes. And I used, as you can see, I steal some Scholastic boxes because they're very sturdy. They're not Scholastic, but I'll take one here. So I use this quickly, but you can see the type of things like from Amazon, just these weird little pins. I have a bunch of stickers. These are so cheap, and the girls especially really like these. I have some little notebooks that they can write things in. Y'all will get a chance to get these later. And little erasers. I'm sorry I didn't have any scrunchies because the children took all those. But those are the type of things that I would do. I would at first take these things from the book fair, like use my Scholastic dollars and buy them. I've since learned that it's a lot cheaper just to buy them on Amazon in the volume that I do what I do. This is one of our students that won our first book fair gift card. So every time a student wins a book fair gift card, I'll make them take a picture and I'll post it on the social media for our school. And then kids will start to see that and they'll be like, oh, and we'll also we have TVs that scroll in our school. So I try to advertise that. And word gets out pretty fast, and people come in to buy stuff. Okay, so I call this Lollipop Pool 2.0 because it really has evolved a lot. So now we have a whole separate station for our lollipops instead of being right by the cash register. These are some student helpers, and they pretty much run it. They restock the lollipops. I have them in like a big cooler to mix them in, just because it has wheels. They restock the lollipops. They do a lot of the hard work for me, which is great. And you can see we have like the prize box set up here. I stole another Scholastic box for them to put the money in. So the kids don't even touch the money, they just watch it and they're like, how many are you buying? And then they get to do fun math while they're, So that's kind of how we run it. And I'm going to tell you kind of what you have to do to prep, or what I do to prep. So I started out with my styrofoam tree. That got destroyed, like after just pulling and pushing the lollipops in. So I was like, let me do a flat styrofoam thing. Same. It was just like crumbles. It was just like snow because we had so many kids buying lollipops. So then I bought a cake pop stand on Amazon. So that's what the lollipop stand is today. And I have 3 of them. So I'll set them up and make a really big one, but I'll just do a small one. It's just a cake pop stand, and then I just put this around it so the kids will try to look in there and see what color they're pulling and all that kind of stuff. So that makes it really easy because it's a lot sturdier. I started doing my prizes on Amazon. I think I told y'all, or I'll do Scholastic dollars for some of the things they really like, or if like it's last minute and I need more. The lollipops, I buy them at Sam's. I'm sure they would have them at Costco too. They're $11 for a box of 100. Okay, and I'll break down the profit in just a second. So then I have students use a stamp pad to stamp a quarter of the lollipops blue. And then total for the whole week of book fair, I'll do 5 or 10 lollipops orange. And those are the big prize winners. So I put these signs out so that the kids know they're 50 cents. You put your money in the box, you pull out your lollipop, you have to check it then. So we'll have kids come back later and be like, I got a blue lollipop this morning. I was like, well, you didn't tell me fast enough. So no, you didn't. And then they get a prize from the box right away if they got a blue one, and then I will give them the gift card and take a picture if they won the orange one. We did have to limit the amount that students can buy because kids would come in with a $20 bill and want to spend the entire thing. Or they would come back 4 and 5 times a day, which I don't know what they're in middle school, they can just tell a different teacher. I haven't been to the book fair yet. So we quickly realized we have to say, okay, we set a $5 limit. And if a kid comes in and they don't buy a book yet first, I'm like, go look at the $1 books and the $2 books and use your change and things like that. So we do try to make sure that the priority is on the books, and then this is supposed to be with their change. But some of them are little future gamblers because they love this. And then get your prizes organized, just ready for when you run out. I arrange for student helpers throughout the day, and then in the morning when I have my big rush, I have parent volunteers come in. And my PTSA does that. So we have a person that's our library liaison that we didn't have years ago, but I asked for one, and now we have one, and she'll arrange volunteers. She has someone come shelve for us every Monday. So she's great. And she will set up some volunteers for the morning rush, and the parents will kind of help manage the line and things like that. And then I set it up the morning that the book fair opens. Okay, this is what's interesting. So they are 11 cents each for the suckers at Sam's. I sell them for 50 cents each, so that's about a 39-cent profit per lollipop. So the first year, I bought 100 lollipops, sold out in less than a day. I sold out in an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, next year I'll do more. So I made about $40 that year, which I was thrilled to have $40 to use however I wanted to. Keep in mind, this year, And the following, I guess, 3 years, our bookkeeper is very fastidious. She's great at her job, but we had to receipt every lollipop that a student bought. Yes.
That was my question.
Yes. So, and I'll tell you how I found a workaround to that. But we basically had a sheet that students would fill out. So that's my sign said, drop your money in, fill out so they had to write their name, 50 cents, and I think I just checked cash for all of them. They were like, can I use my lunch money? I'm like, no. So, anyway, so I was receipting every one. I made the students do it. But it was a lot. It slowed things down a lot. The second year I bought 300 lollipops. We moved it away from the cash register so it wouldn't be so crowded. And we sold out in 2 days. So I made $110 that year. Then, I say year, it was probably like fall, spring. Then the next year we had 1,000 lollipops. So I was like, people are going to think I'm crazy with all these lollipops, but I think they'll buy them because we've sold out every time. I sold out in 3 days. We had a dedicated stand. We had the PTSA volunteers come in the morning. So every year it's kind of gotten bigger. 3,000 lollipops was the next time. This is when I started doing cheap prizes from Amazon, and that helped my profits a lot more. 5 and below had some good packs of gel pens and things like that too. So I feel like I've perfected a little bit more now, and this past one that we've done in the fall, was straight profit because our PTSA parents that would volunteer, they said, PTSA will buy this stuff for you. I was like, really? I mean, I just didn't know. We do have a very active PTSA. I know every school's different. Because we do serve a lot of those really high-income kids, we do have a lot of stay-at-home mamas that want to come to school and want to volunteer and want to bring everything to you. So I did a sign-up genius for all our prizes on an Amazon wish list, and they bought all the prizes. And then I asked the PTSA if they would buy the lollipops, and they did. And they went to Sam's and got them for me. So you can see that I was making a good profit even before that happened, but after that happened, it's basically I make 50 cents for every time a kid buys a lollipop. So we had 4,000 because they bought the lollipops and donated all the prizes, straight profit. That also meant that it didn't go through our school funds, and I didn't have to write a purchase order to buy these lollipops, and I didn't have to receipt every student. So now it's like a PTSA fundraiser, but they just give all the money to us. So that's kind of the way that we got around having to receipt every lollipop.
Okay, so because you're doing it through PTSA,
right.
They are the ones depositing the money?
Yeah.
Into them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they give it to me.
Forms. Like ours, if the total amount is under $5,
yeah,
all the kid has to do is sign their name on a form.
Right, and that's what I had before. It was a form, and they wrote their name, and then they had to write 50 cents or $1 or $2 or whatever. So it wasn't terrible. But at the end of the day, I had to go through and make sure that all those little children's handwritings, the 50 cents added up, and also totaling up my cash register, and it was just a lot. Because I'd drop it myself after school, so I was staying for an hour, being like, okay, this is my receipt for my lollipop money. This is my receipt for my book fair. Yes, did you have a question?
So now that you're not having school buy it, it's just the parents?
Just PTO, yeah.
You don't have to have the list of kids, you don't have to do any of that?
No.
Okay.
And so that's really the way to do it, for sure. Because it was, I kind of got to the point where I was like, we ran out on a Wednesday, but Thursday or Friday, I'm like, I'm not going to receipt for the rest of the week. I'm just over it. And now I'm like, bring on the lollipops. So that was in the spring. So I'm projecting we'll probably buy, honestly, more than 4,000, which sounds crazy, but we will sell them. I mean, we sold out Friday morning. So we'll probably raise total this year close to $5,000. And that's just money I can use however I want. So I love that freedom to just be able to buy one little thing, and I'll show you kind of some things I've done with it. Yes?
So, how many students do you have?
1,000. Yeah, 1,000 students.
So, you said you can do whatever you want with it. Does PTSA hold your money, or do they deposit?
Nope.
They deposit into your school.
They give it to me, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I almost couldn't believe that was true. I was like, so I just get to do whatever? And I'm like, yeah. So that was a game changer for us, for sure. Some of the things that I've spent the profits on, I have a book club, a lit lunch book club, and we'll do dessert after that. I'm hoping to do an author visit with some of the money later. And this is a big thing about this fundraiser, and I would talk to your head custodian. As we all know, we love our custodians and want that this was a lot of trash for them to pick up. So we try to be cognizant of that, and I would tell the kids before they even checked out, I was like, first of all, you don't have permission to eat this in class, just like any other candy. You have to get permission first. And second of all, like, if you throw your trash on the floor, we're not going to be able to do it anymore because custodians won't want to, they won't be able to stand me. So I bought a custodian's lunch after this last one when we had the thousands and thousands of lollipops. And I think they really appreciated that. And I also had some teacher volunteers that would stop by and be like, hey, do you want me to help with lollipops? Like, during my planning. So I bought stuff for them too. I hosted a community book club night this year where we read an Alan Gratz book, and we had like 70 students and their parents come, and I was able to buy pizza for everybody with this money. I bought some gift cards for this presentation with this money. My Battle of the Books team over here, we were able to like tie-dye t-shirts with this, so it's just kind of been nice like to have some extra money that's not necessarily just for books, for the other things that we want to buy. Yeah. Yeah.
So was the stipulation that they can only go to the lollipop stand if they bought from the book fair, or was this an addition?
So I said they can only come like once a day, and if they tried to spend like more than like $1 or $2, I would always say like, did you buy a book yet? And they'd be like, oh, well, no, because all I have is $5. It's like, well, here's our $1. And a lot of times I would make them buy, but especially if I knew, like I had a couple kids that were like I say, like future little gamblers, they would come in and be like, I know the next one's going to be an orange. I know it. And I was like, okay, we need to slow down and like, we're going to buy a book. So that was kind of case by case, but yeah, one time a day for sure. And then I limited it at like $5, which is still a whole lot of lollipops, but yeah, they love it and went crazy over it. So it was good, and it got kids coming into the book fair when they wouldn't have necessarily done it. So if there was like a line at the lollipop thing, I'd be like, go look at the book fair and then come after. So I do think it helped our book fair sales as well. Our sales have gone up. I don't know if that's like just from after COVID, I don't know, but it has gone up since we've started doing this. Does anyone have any more questions before I keep going? Yeah.
Okay, so my book fair just started as
Yeah.
I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
If I were to buy the lollipops,
Yeah.
would that be the same thing as like the
I would check with your bookkeeper.
Okay.
But my understanding is because it was I would do a PO to buy the lollipops, and then I would go and have to use the school card, all that, sign it in, all the paperwork. And that was why we had to receipt them. So she said as long as you're not using school funds, then you don't have to. But I mean, our bookkeeper makes us do things that I don't think every other bookkeeper does. Maybe everyone's is like that. Ours is extra special. Okay, so some tips. I would say if you want to try to implement this at your school, to start small and grow. Like if it works well at your school, I would not start out buying 1,000 lollipops and just see. I think Patty and I were talking earlier about like her principal didn't want them to have gum like at school, so maybe like Dum Dums would work better and do them for a cheaper price, or maybe like Airheads, or what do your kids like? It doesn't have to be lollipops. You could figure out a way to do almost any candy and put like a sticker or something on the back. For us, this is just kind of how we started, and that's what they love. So that's how we grew with it. I would definitely talk to your PTSA because they might donate money, they might donate lollipops, they might have volunteers, they might send prizes. I mean, you never know until you ask. I didn't ask for years, and then a parent literally had to be like, why are you doing all this yourself? Like, we would totally buy this for you. Adapt to your population, depending on what they like. Try different candy, try different prizes. Maybe they don't care about the book fair gift card. My kids were really excited about that. Some of them tried to then spend the book fair gift card on more lollipops, and I was like, no. So, yeah, try different things, what motivates your students. For us, they love these stupid little toys, and they love them. The like little pencils, smincels and stuff, Y'all know what your kids like, whatever it is. I'll tell you what they like. Their favorite thing are those like squishy ball weird things that Scholastic sends. Those would sell out, like right away, or go. So that could be your big prize, something like that. Just figure out what your students like.
How much is your gift cards?
$15, and I just use Scholastic dollars for that. And I used to save my Scholastic dollars to buy the prizes, and now I'll buy books with it, but I'll have extra since we do it on Amazon. Good question. $15, and I literally just write it on a piece of paper. When the kid comes, I just use Scholastic dollars to pay for it. So it works pretty well. One visit per day, we talked about this, less than $5 at a time. They can't try to drop a $20 bill on lollipops. I'm like, your parents would be so One thing I would say, if you don't already do bags at your gift card or your book fair, I would definitely do like little plastic bags. I got those off Amazon too with the lollipops, because it does end up being a lot with their receipt and their books and their pass and their lollipops. Definitely talk with your bookkeeper, like we've said, your admin and custodians before, and just kind of give them a heads up and let them know, like if it's really bad, or like if it's really bad on one grade level hall, then I might say only 8th and 6th graders can buy lollipops, no 7th graders, because y'all have been finding trash or whatever. Make sure you show love and appreciation to your custodians and your helpers afterward, because it is a big thing, the lollipop mafia. Does anyone have any questions for me? Any more questions? Anyone think that this is doable at their school?
Great idea.
Yeah. I was totally blown away by how, like I said, it was not my idea originally. It just like, we just kind of went, I think the person I talked to originally did like Easter eggs.
That's what I do.
Okay, yeah.
And I put a piece of paper in it, so I'm reusing like the same dozen eggs.
Right.
So I don't have to remake all that.
Yeah.
And I do the Scholastic books, posters, that I buy personal stuff off of Amazon.
Right.
And use those as the prizes.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah, and I heard about that, and I was like, oh, like Easter eggs, that's a good idea. Like, what else could I do? What would be easy? And I think I saw on Pinterest just like a lollipop pull, and I was like, I love lollipops. And I don't get to eat that many, so the kids buy them.
Do you do it with the book fair just because they already have money? I mean, have you ever done something like this separate from the book fair?
I have not, but I've recommended it to a lot of people. Like, the parents that come and volunteer, they're like, oh my gosh, we've got to do this at ABCD, like our fall festival, we've got to do this at whatever. And I'm like, this would make so much money. And I think it works out really well for book fair because it's like a week long, and the kids will see a kid walking around with a lollipop in their hand. Where did you get that? Oh, is it the book fair? Oh my gosh, I'm about to go to the book fair. And then it like builds. So like every day we have more and more. So I do think it'd work better over a long term than over like a one event, but I do think it would still work. It was supposed to be just like, oh, you have 50 cents extra, here's your change, which is why we did it next to the cash register, and then it just kind of became its own monster. And I was like, I love having extra money. There's a lot of things even that I've seen at this conference, and I'm like, oh, I would love to buy that. I can use lollipop money for it. Like, so yes.
I was just going to add to Michelle and I were talking about this earlier. Last year I did stickers, and I just bought the packs of stickers off of Amazon.
Yeah.
I just ordered a pack of 100 of them for $6.79 because my book fair starts next Thursday, and I sell them for $1.
So I got them and I saw them for 50 cents.
Are they like these ones, like the water bottle ones? Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I don't even remember how much this pack was, and it was like hundreds in this pack.
There's a 100 pack of Pirate Glass stickers right now for sale for $6.79.
And also, I don't know if Crocs are really big, like they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
They sell on Amazon bulk bags of fake.
Oh, that is great.
And the kids go crazy.
Does anyone else have prize ideas? Because that's a great one.
The only issue that I would have is that our school district recently canceled their partnership with Amazon. So,
And almost all the same things.
because that's the issue I would have is trying to find an alternate vendor because they canceled Amazon as our vendor.
Do you have PTA parents that you think would buy, like if there was a wish list sent out on Amazon, like if the parents could buy it from Amazon?
I would have to check. I'm not even
Because
sure.
that's how we, right, yeah. I've been in school with that too before, so that's why I say, like, you can do it without PTA support, but I will say, like, it definitely elevated it when I did get it.
Here's my decision is going to only places that will do, order forms. And Amazon does not, Walmart does not, like,
Yeah, I was.
I can't imagine not using Amazon.
Yeah, I was told this year I can only go through companies that take POs. I can't do anything where I'm waiting on the export card.
Which is another reason to try to get your PTA to do it, because they have much fewer restrictions. And for me, I was doing my prizes through like my Scholastic dollars at first, so that wasn't an issue either. I just kind of realized like, oh my gosh, these scrunchies, you can buy 1 million of them for $5. Let's do that, and then just figure out what they like. Yes.
I think I was in the same session with you that year.
Oh yeah.
And so mine has morphed into, it's out all the time.
Okay.
And so, all of the suckers have a dot.
Okay.
And we have 4 colors, and the black means you get to pull another one. And you talk about, I really feel like I'm breeding
That's a
gamblers.
good idea. I know you do. You're like, just one more. Take a break, dude. Go to English.
And you're bringing up things that I'm really sitting back here thinking, is that a problem?
Christian, go sit down. Like, you were here this morning. I mean, some of the kids really are really, and they'll ask me, they'll say, isn't this gambling? I'm like, yeah, you got any more money to spend? They love it.
It's not gambling, we're practicing our probability and statistics.
I know, and they'll say, how many of these? And I'll say, 1 out of every 4. And they'll be like, none of them had it. I'm like, well, it's not like every 4. It is a good, when you do get into some good, even just some of the kids that are like, I have $2, how many live houses I have? I'm like, so they're 50 cents, look at the sign, and let's talk about it, let's think about, I mean, just even some of the, this is middle school.
I was
Like,
going to tell you though about the stickers, you can buy, I think it's about $45 on Amazon, it's a chip bag display
okay.
with clips all over
Oh,
it.
like a
And
round
so,
one.
so we keep our stickers on, it's up all year long, and they're 25 cents a piece, and then they all, I mean, that's one of the colors, if they pull this sucker that has blue, then they get a sticker. If it's red, they get a piece of double bubble, or starburst, and if it's blue, or excuse me, green, they get a piece of gum. So they're getting something every time they pull.
Right.
And I do have little bags, because sometimes they get such a hoard of stuff that they can't, carry it back to class. The problems that I'm running into are, I haven't heard from the janitors, but I feel like we're having a lot of excessive trips to the library,
Yeah.
which sound like they're coming to get a book.
And they're not, yeah.
Is it all day long you do it?
It's all day.
You do it all day long.
It is. Last week I was so desperate with a project that I needed to work on, and my assistant was out, that I put a sign up and said, we have no lollipops, we have no stickers, but we have lots of books. So, come in for the books, but.
Do you receipt those then?
I wish you had not asked that question. My bookkeeper is just different.
Yeah.
She just,
Ours makes us receipt things that other schools in our district don't even, so when I say that she just started liking me enough to give me a stick for the first time this year, like,
And
she was
that-
very tight.
where I'm running into the conflict ethically is, I used my own seed money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, the problem is, okay, that's fine if that's true, now where's your tax protection for that? You know what I'm saying, like, okay, is that your business then?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really,
That's why PTSA would be good.
Because they're tax exempt, exactly, yeah, so that's another reason that
it's
PT,
a
and I
great
mean,
idea.
and you might even just be like, can I have $100 to start it off, and then you can go from there, I don't know how
I
that
don't
would
know
work.
either, it's
Yeah.
great, and my bookkeeper is kind of okay with it, so
Yeah. As long as you're, mine, I think, was very happy to wash their hands of it, and I was definitely from counting all the receipts, and kids would have this illegible, it was just like, even when they wrote it on their end, it was a lot, so, yeah. Does anyone else have good prizes? Cause the crock one I didn't think of, and my kids would love that when I do in the spring. Things that their kids like.
What were those called?
I'm gonna
Jibbitz is the name brand, but it's all our brand on it.
fake
When you say
Jibbitz.
scrunchies, I know the teletypes, do you mean like the cloth covered scrunchies?
They're like, they're like the velour
Yes,
ones,
that's
yes,
what- okay.
and it's the bags from Amazon, and there's like 50.
That's what I thought you meant, but I wanted to make sure.
Yes, those are the scrunchies that mine like, or like the Teletype, but not the Teletype brand, just like where you can get a bunch of the little scrunchies. And then I was like, I don't want them to all be kind of geared towards girls, so I also got like the tech decks, the little finger skateboards, which the like 8th grade boys love. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go to high school, and they just love
I
it.
got a bunch of the, just like the little mini Rubik's cubes.
Oh, yeah.
And like the little mini puzzle things.
Yes, somebody earlier said they had those in my makerspace, and I was like, why did I never think about Rubik's
And I
cubes?
use, like every year when we get the Discus box, and it has all the like prize
Yes,
stuff
yes,
in it.
I use those a lot too. Those because they have poppets and stuff in there
Yeah,
last year.
poppets, the
Mhm.
earbuds.
And thank God for their free pencils. Yes.
Amazon also has rings, like gold and silver. When I do the fall book fair, I found on Oriental Trading, because I do the eggs, but I found pumpkins. So they pay $1 for surprise pumpkins, and mine just have the paper in it, and then they pick the prizes. But the rings they loved in the fall, and I can get, 50, 75 rings for $5, $7, something like that. So I got a gold set and a silver set, and I kind of wasn't sure how that would go over, but they loved it. And then the little squishables, like holiday
Yes.
squishables, they
Yes.
love that.
There's a little animal, I don't even know what they call them. It's just like squishy animals, and they have that real particular texture about them. They love those. One thing, because we're talking about prizes, that I would mention that I learned kind of the hard way is I would only put like 3 or 4 choices in here. Because they will stand there and be like, or like, no, we want them to pick from like 5 or 6 erasers. We don't want them to pick from 100 erasers. We'll be for all day. So, even the stickers, I was worried about doing the stickers because I was like, they're all different. They're gonna be looking different. So, I wouldn't give them too much choice because, you don't want to go down that road.
I like the box idea.
Those are the best boxes. And the big one that I brought all my other stuff in, it's like super lightweight. It has handles. It's the perfect size.
So a couple years ago, I got told from the guy that picked them up, he's like, you will get charged for any box we don't get back. I was like, here you go. And
They told them
last year it was like, you want some of these?
Yeah, the first lady that came and set it up for me was like, if you take a box or two, no one notices. If you take a bunch more than me, and I was like, I love a box. I mean, you're like, that's a good box, you know. And those are great. So as you can see, I use them all year.
I forgot to send a box with stuff in it, and they were like, just keep it.
Yeah. Well, treasure that box because they are very heavy. They're awesome. If you take nothing else away, seal your skills. They're good quality. Look at these. These are great. So yeah, I normally wouldn't have suckers in
No one
here.
got SCASL out. I think we might be alright. We find out that everyone went to SCASL and learned to keep a box and stuff.
And if you feel more comfortable not having students, I have really good helpers all day. And so I feel comfortable because I'm at the cash register and they're maybe like where you are, like where the lollipop thing is. And we also put it, by the way, like at the end of the book fair. So we're like, go look at the books, and then it's like, after, if you have change, and that's kind of how I try to frame it, because we obviously want there to be sitting there. But it's almost like the little gadgets at the book fair. You can say, like, buy a book, but they're just excited to be doing something different, buy something different. Yes.
So my question with your volunteers then, how do you get them out of class in order to be there with you?
So they're my helpers like throughout the day. So that's their related arts class.
Let me tell you what I do with my student helpers. I coordinated with 6th and 8th grade ELA teachers, because they utilize the library the most. And so they will send me students who have like completed all of their work, don't have a good average, are pretty good in their class, people that they trust. And the last like 20, 30 minutes of class or whatever, or the first maybe 10, 15 minutes of class, then she'll send me to 2 or 3 people, and I'll use them, throughout the day. But I coordinate with my ELA teachers.
And ours is a class, so they're in there anyway. There's like a kind of a lunch period where they're not in there. But if you're not comfortable with students taking, like I wasn't comfortable with the kids like taking the money for some reason for me. That just seemed like wrong. And I was like, so I'm like, they just stand next to it and they're like, all right, put in your 50 cents, and they just watch the kids do it. And I mean, this thing is like totally full. And another thing it's really good for is change for your book fair. I used to have to run to the bank and get checked because our book fair, I realized last night talking to some coworkers that other people's schools will cut them like a check for change. Ours is not, so that's all of our money. So I'm like, now I don't have to do that anymore. There's so many quarters and so many ones, which is what you need, and everything else. So
you're not gonna change. How do you said the kids aren't handling it?
no. It's like if you got $1, you're buying 2 lollipops. Or like split with friends, whatever that has. But yeah. So most of them, very few of them are like, oh, I want to put in $1. Sometimes a kid will have like a $5 bill and say like, can I get ones? In that case, then I'll walk over and like change out the ones or whatever. But most of the time it's just like the quarters and dollars and things like that. Does anyone else have an idea about prizes that they want to share? Because this is good, just hearing what other people do for prizes, or a question for me.
It's a good idea to use that box, because I'm that person that puts that box in the front office like they say I'm supposed to, and that box is actually empty every year.
Yeah, those boxes are great. And they close up. And then I keep the lollipops in a big cooler that has wheels. Just because when I started doing like hundreds of them. I mean, we call it the mafia because you feel like you're like a drug dealer a little bit. But I'm like stirring together like all the colors of the lollipops like with my hand, and then the kids just like fill it up. It's kind of how we do it. And I can show you again like the picture of where it is. But people will walk in and they'll see how much money, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's how much money you make off these lollipops. And I'm like, yeah. And I try to apologize to the teachers a little bit before. I know they're gonna have lollipops. I know that's special, and I don't know that our admin would let us have it all year. Like yours, I feel like I'm pushing my luck already with the twice a year. But yeah, so we have this kind of like curvy thing that we'll move over. It's really part of a couch, and so we keep our big cooler of our lollipops behind it, and then we have everything else there. And then in the morning, I mean, sometimes this line will wrap around like all the way to the back wall.
When do you fill it back up?
So the students that are there, they're filling it up as
You go. Okay.
and the kids will try to look under and see what color. Like it's funny. So they're, you know, like 3/4 of them are just blank, and they're like, well, what happens if it has nothing on it? And I was like, then you just bought yourself a sucker. Congratulations. And they're usually fine with that. But we try to keep a good mix of colors. I usually will do like 2 of these beside one another, and I have a third one too, just in case. But I would recommend something like that if you're doing like a full. I don't feel like Dum Dums would do well on those because they're too big, but the styrofoam really does crumble like really quickly. So maybe try it for a first time and see if it works. But then I had to move pretty quickly.
What brands of lollipops do you use?
So I do. That's a good question. It's like a science. I'm like, I do like 70% blow pops and like 30% Tootsie Roll. Yeah. And I've done the order like before online at Sam's, and then just trying to pick it up just to make sure that they have 40 boxes. Of them, you go in Sam's and you feel like a crazy person. You're like, let me just load all of these, you know, onto here.
So what is that copy? What is that? Is it something you
This one?
No, next to here.
This.
Oh, that's a cake.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me show y'all. This is a cake pop stand. I just like laminated a piece of border to put around it. Yeah, the kids were. I mean, they're squirrely. You know, they'll definitely try to peek.
Okay, cool.
And cheat. So I mean, there's technically like a little divot that it's supposed to rest in, but if you can tell, you can see that this one has glue if you're looking from the side because it's not like long enough. So I just laminated like a little piece of border from a bulletin board.
Okay.
And put it around there.
So if you use Tootsie because the gum would be a real issue in our school.
Right, but you can do Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Then you wouldn't.
Yeah, Tootsie Pops. I just tried both my first year, and I kind of noticed at the end, like I would have mostly Tootsie Roll Pops left, and then I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna buy one more box of. I had to do some pretty mathematical equations to like get this right, but this is what it's turned out to be, and yeah, $5,000 for selling lollipops, which sounds crazy, but I tell people about it all the time that are doing like events. I'm like, I mean, it's super easy. It's kind of, I don't know if y'all, my school growing up sold like carnations for Valentine's Day. That kind of reminds me of that. I'm like, you really don't have to do much, and it makes a lot of money. So I know we all want to buy some cool things for our library, so that's why I wanted to share this with you guys. I'm going to have everybody come up and pull a lollipop on their way out, and then if you get one, I didn't do any blank ones because I was being nice. So all of them have a prize. So if you get a blue on the bottom, then you can pick a prize from the prize box if you want to take it and use it or share it with your students if you're being nice. And then 2 of them have orange, and you get a Starbucks gift card for that. And I do know, I will say, like, if you are going to do gift cards and you don't want to do a Bookfair gift card, schools, or at least our district, are weird. You can't buy gift cards as prizes. Okay, so I didn't realize that at first, and I had asked, like, because for my junior book award luncheon, I'll give away Barnes & Noble gift cards, and I had to get parents to buy those because the school wouldn't let me buy it with our money. So just beware of that. Like, some districts, I don't know if it's every district, but they wouldn't let me buy gift cards. So
they can't trace what you do.
I guess, yeah, you could just
Spend it on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more lollipops. But so that's another reason why the Bookfair gift card works pretty well. Any other questions? If not, we can start pulling lollipops.
So is that sheet, that's your rules, that's supposed to be with your rules?
This one right here?
Because when I come up there, I want to make sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would like just hang this on the, like while the kids are up there. Like I said, it used to say write your name on the line and put how much money you spent or whatever when I had to do that. But yeah, this just shows the kid. And I've had kids come back like later and be like, it's really like a light blue dot. And I'm like, that's not our dot. So definitely have them show you the bottom. And my kids are trained, my helpers are trained, or they'll be like, show me the bottom. I think they're really funny. And yeah, they have to show you right away if they want to get the prize. Okay, So on your way, we're 5 minutes early. On your way out, if you want to come pull a lollipop and we'll get your prize. I'm gonna fill them up